welcome to Lowcountry View of Hilton Head. My name is Earl Yates. I'm your host. Today my guest is Naren Sharma. Naren is a very, very important guy in Hilton Head, and I think the biggest part of that is most of you don't know him, which is kind of sad. But it's going to be a positive thing for us because you're going to find all the information you possibly can need for the subject which we're going to speak to. Naren is the chairman of the Neighborhood Outreach Connection, which is a very, very positive thing for Hilton Head. It's been going on for about 3 years. Naren has a very, very extensive background in going into different communities throughout the world and making sure that they all have their needs, whether it be those that are in low income all the way to those who are very financially secure. So without further ado, Naren.
Good to be here, Al.
It's good to have you here, sir.
Me. Yes.
Well, we'll start just to let everyone know exactly who you are, give us a little bit of your background, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. It will be a pleasure. I'm originally from the Fiji Islands. This is a small island in the South Pacific. And I came to the United States in 1964. And the rest is history. I completed my education here, got my doctorate degree. I have 2 masters, one at Duke and one at Rutgers. And then I joined the World Bank at a very young age. The World Bank had a premier program called the Young Professional Program, where about 7,000 folks apply worldwide, and they select about 25. So I was very fortunate to be selected to work for this premier organization, where I spent roughly about 32 years. It was a great experience. Of course, my training is in development and finance, and the World Bank, as an international organization, focuses on development, helping countries to formulate the right set of policies, select investment programs, and focus on broader issues that relate to economic development, environment, and poverty. So in that 32 years, I was very fortunate to travel worldwide. I started my career looking at Asian countries, and I came to the World Bank when McNamara was there, and I was assigned to look at the Mekong countries, and that was Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand, and we were at war during that period. So that was a great start off, and then I worked in Latin America, worked in all the countries there except for 3, Venezuela, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and I went to visit the African countries, and I traveled mostly from Washington, D.C. And all in all, I've covered more than 50 countries in Asia, Latin America, and Europe. And of course, Europe was our trumping ground because there was a lot of bilateral assistance. And really, my field was mostly in the applied side, where we interacted with the government, nonprofit organizations, bilateral agencies, and others, to look at investment possibilities in certain areas. And often we talk to the government about their policy considerations, the overall planning, what investments they select. And if we do go into an area, whether it's education, transportation, infrastructure, or building a port, we would help the government come out with a program, a project that is feasible. And when we say feasible from an economic, financial standpoint, an institutional standpoint as well. So in a nutshell, that's what basically I did at the World Bank. On a side track, I also wanted to be intellectually engaged, so I spent a sabbatical year at Duke, and then subsequently I was given an adjunct professor status in the School of the Environment, where I lectured from Washington every now and then. And that was good because it allowed me to look at things from a different perspective. And at that time, I was interested in political economy, looking at issues in a sort of a broader framework, not only looking at the economic side, but also looking at the social, political, and the environmental side. So that gave me that opportunity to interact with folks outside. And I enjoyed having graduate students as well, and lecturing there. I enjoyed doing that. So that's what I did. And then 5-6 years ago, we came to Hilton Head, and we used to visit Hilton Head. I liked Hilton Head very much. It reminds me of Fiji since I came from an island. And anyway, my wife and I, we retired and bought a place here and settled down here. And very briefly, I was with the university here of South Carolina as the director of continuing education, but that really wasn't my cup of tea. I really wanted to get involved more directly with community development and bringing some of my experiences, the lessons that I learned overseas to the local community here. And very quickly I learned that, look, you know, I didn't have to travel to Africa, Latin America, Asia, or other country. We have some of these problems in our back door here, in our own country, in the United States. And obviously, this became a huge challenge for me. Secondly, I was a bit exhausted of traveling overseas. My family, they live in Australia. I have 6 siblings in Australia. I have 1 in New Zealand. I have 1 in Canada. So we are truly international in our scope. And that sort of gets me to travel, you know, at least twice a year. So now I'm able to travel maybe twice a year, but do a lot of my work here. I'm a citizen of this country, and I'm very proud of that. I have a daughter. She's married now, lives in North Carolina. In fact, I've become a grandparent just recently.
Congratulations.
Yes, yes. It's quite exciting. So really, in a nutshell, I had a very exciting, you know, experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Meeting folks from different countries, looking at the problems, whether it's on the economic side, social side, environmental side, or whether we're looking at transboundary issues or global issues. There's no substitute, really. When you get your hands dirty, you learn a lot. And that's what has happened. The other thing that I found very rewarding is I met a lot of very interesting people. Whether it was in Latin America, Asia, or Africa. And the interesting thing here is that you can meet a very common person in a village, and he or she will exhibit characters or traits that all you can do is pause and marvel and say, wow, you know, these are the people who make things happen. These are the folks who in their own way, quiet way, come out with new ideas, new concepts to tackle things. I also met people like Mother Teresa. I spent a good 45 minutes with her, one-on-one, in the 1980s when I was traveling in India, in Calcutta area. That was illuminating. And from her I learned a lot. You know, the thing is you don't always need money. You can use your intellectual capital, such as love, compassion, caring for others. There's really ways of tackling problems and issues. That's fantastic, because working for the World Bank, we solve problems with money. We loan billions of dollars. You know, right now World Bank lends about $70 to $80 billion worldwide. This is huge. When we finance a project, we talk in terms of hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's a person who's talking about doing things in high impact ways with very little money, but with a lot of love, compassion, caring. And that's what I saw in many parts of the world. Excellent people, and that's why today I feel that we can do more with less. You know, money is not only the issue, but if we put ourselves behind something that we feel it's important, and something that will yield benefits, that's fantastic. I remember I went to East Timor once. This is after the war there and devastation and all that. And CNN was there, was interviewing this old lady in a village. And it was very interesting to hear that interview, because somewhere along the line, the person asked her, well, what's the purpose in life? Because this was a lady who was doing a lot there. She paused and said, the purpose of life is to help others.
Wow.
Powerful, yeah? Powerful.
Yes.
These are the type of people you see worldwide. And the other thing that, if I can share, is people...
Well, we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back.
Sure.
Wow. I hope you've been inspired so far as much as I have. We're going to take a short break and come right back. And of course, Naren is going to continue to be my guest, and you'll get all the knowledge you possibly can have. I mean, you're speaking to a very wise person with the understanding of what it takes to help people, as you've heard. So take a short break and come right back.